Alternative fashion and being alternative in general is about nonconformity, and it's about going against the mainstream. In this specific video, I want to talk about alternative fashion, but I do feel like it's important to mention the fact that being an alternative person is not just about what you wear and how you present yourself to the world. It is also about your beliefs, and a lot of alternative people, for example, are anti-capitalist, anti-establishment. They might have far left political ideologies, and oftentimes they have a very strong DIY aesthetic. They might value things like thrifting and just going against the system in general, and speaking up for people who are oppressed and causes that need to have more attention brought to them. So being alternative certainly is not just about how you look and your clothing and whether you have tattoos and piercings and XYZ, but for this video I just want to kind of talk about the fashion side, because I feel like sometimes it feels like alternative fashion has become a little bit of a uniform. Like, you have to look a certain way to be alternative, right? And I feel like alternative spaces are supposed to be this space of non-conformity. But personally, I feel like the most non-conforming and the most alternative thing that you could do is dress in accordance with how you really want to dress, and the looks and the clothing and the kind of aesthetic that you prefer, even if that doesn't fit neatly into any alternative subculture, or it doesn't even look alternative, whatever that means. Because I feel like sometimes, at least I came to like alternative fashion because I like this idea of not needing to just dress how everyone else dresses, and being able to be an individual and to be unique and say, hey, screw just conforming and just, you know, being like seen as normal by everyone. Forget about that. I'm going to dress however I want. And so I feel like oftentimes people come into these spaces and then it seems like there's almost like some rules that you need to follow. For instance, for me, whenever I decided, hey, so I really like this like alternative fashion world, right? I felt like, oh, so now I have to wear more black, like I have to wear heavy eyeliner, need to thin out the eyebrows, wear the fishnets, the chokers, and all of this stuff. And so instead of doing the most alternative thing that I think that you can do, which is simply be yourself, not who society says you should be, not who the internet says you should be, not what the fashion trends say that you should be, but genuinely be yourself. Like, I felt like that was not really what I was doing. I was trying to fit into an aesthetic because I wanted people to be able to look at me and to be able to say, oh, okay, she's alternative. Oh, okay, she's kind of going for the more emo or the emo subculture or blah 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 or whatever it was, instead of focusing on just being myself. So I think a lot of the times young people come into these subcultures. I'm only 18, I'm young myself, and they want to be authentic. They don't like the fakeness of just dressing how, you know, you feel like you have to dress, and they want to have some freedom to like kind of explore without judgment, and then they can feel like they have a set of rules to follow. And so I feel like this kind of feeds into another problem where a lot of people come to the alternative community, and because they want to be so quickly you know, identified with a specific subculture or just the alternative community in general, instead of taking the time to develop their own wardrobe, and whether that be by thrifting or just making clothes or whatever that process looks like for them, they run to Shein and fast fashion so that they can grab these pieces and be easily identified with these subcultures. And then as they're doing that, because they want to be identified with these subcultures, people are calling them Shein goths, Temu emos, and all of this kind of stuff, because they are, you know, running to fast fashion instead of like kind of building and finding their alternative style organically, right? Like, I feel like this is an issue because people feel the need to identify, because I feel like a lot of the times if people, at least online, right? I'm more so speaking to the online space of alternative fashion. Let me just make that clear. But people are quick to call one another posers online. And for young people who might not be like able to access an alternative community in real life, maybe they live in a more secluded area, this is all that they have of like the alternative community. And so, I don't know. I feel like when this is the case, being alternative just becomes another type of conformity at the end of the day, right? Because at least for me, right? Like, I saw this style and I was like, okay, so to be alt, I have to look like this. And I think that's the problem. Any sort of notion of to be alternative, you need to look like this or that is the problem. And I feel like that is completely, you know, going like in opposition with what being alternative is, and that's just being authentic and being yourself. So to any people like who, it's just so hard for me to like get my thoughts together. I tried making a script and I couldn't do it. I just want to say that the most alternative thing that you can do is to be yourself. And if you end up looking like a normie from doing that, so be it at the end of the day. Because if you put on the black eyeliner and the choker and the fishnets and it's not actually you, you're no different than the person with, I don't know, what's a stereotypical basic thing with the Lululemon leggings and the Sambas and the white t-shirt. Like, you're no different. If you are both dressing just to be seen as a group, that if you were just simply being yourself, you might not dress in accordance with that group. Like, you are no different, right? I don't think that it is alternative to dress like an alternative person just so that you can be perceived as being in that group, if that's not how you genuinely want to dress, right? And again, I'm really focusing on the clothing in this video, but being alternative is not just about how you dress, it's about your ideas as well. But I truly feel like being alternative is about finding your own personal style, right? It's about finding your own personal style and not trying to fit into any boxes, right? And there's nothing wrong with dressing in accordance with specific subcultures if you genuinely identify with them. Nothing should feel like a costume at the end of the day is what I'm really trying to say. I feel like a lot of people want to dress alternative, but it's like a costume for them, right? I feel like it shouldn't be a costume for you, because that's just another form of conformity. I really hope that that makes sense. There is no look to being alternative. Like, I've heard people online again complaining that, oh, I don't look alternative because my hair is curly, or my skin is tan, or I'm not skinny, or blah blah blah. It's so sad that there are some people who are sitting and they're like, oh, like, I can't be alternative because I look like this and that. Like, it loses the entire point of what being alternative was all about. It was for the misfits. There's no beauty standard to being alternative. There's absolutely no beauty standard. And so that is what I wanted to say in this video. I was not the most eloquent. This is not one of my best videos, but like, I just really wanted to say that there is no look to being alternative. And I think that the most alternative thing you can do is to be yourself. I know that sounds cheesy, blah, blah, blah. I'm so sorry, but I feel that way. But I'd love to hear any thoughts that you guys have below. And I love you. Bye.